So I've got Houston, Texas on the horizon, meaning I'm gonna be there in about an hour, maybe a little over an hour depending on traffic. But I'm running a marathon in a day and a half. It's Friday. I'm running the Houston Marathon this Sunday. So if you're new here, I'm gonna share with you that I was not a runner a year and a half ago. Had no intentions on running, didn't like running, didn't want to run, had nothing to do with it. But I had a bucket list item that I wanted to complete a marathon, and so I started training. I had 5 months to train for the Dallas Marathon. I did it, I completed it. I ran it in 5 hours and 43 minutes, maybe 5 hours and 41 minutes, one of those, but the goal of that race was to finish it, and I did it. And I knew that if I didn't continue on the path, that I would just quit running and I would just put my medal on the wall and just call it done. So I signed up for the New York Marathon, trained even harder, and I completed that this past November. And I was trying to beat 4.5 hours, and I ran it in 4 hours and 41 minutes. I was still extremely happy with the time, but deep down it really drove me crazy that I didn't beat 4.5 hours. So I signed up for the Houston Marathon. It's a little bit easier of a course than New York City. I feel really optimistic up until Monday of this week when I kind of got sick. So my energy level is down, no excuses. But anyway, I was walking and I shook a guy's hand, and he proceeded to tell me, oh, hey, you might want to wash your hands because I'm sick. Like, what? Are you? So anyway, I was on a job site, and there's nowhere to wash your hands on this job site. So sure enough, the next day I could feel it in my throat, and I started coughing, and I'm just typical winter sickness. No flu, no fever, nothing like that, but I don't feel the greatest. But I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do it. I've been drinking my Pedialyte, getting hydrated. This is some great stuff, man. I bought like 3 bottles of it to drink tonight. I'm gonna buy like another 3 or 4 to drink tomorrow. I'm actually going to the convention where they have the show before the race. They always have a bunch of neat little drinks and supplements and all kinds of things to try, so I load up there as well. So I'm gonna down these Pedialytes, get hydrated. I've changed my diet in the last few days, starting to carb up. Tomorrow's gonna be a major carb day. Goes a long way, gives me the energy I need to finish the race. So some of the most intriguing comments that I've received lately have to do with people asking me to post my training plan. And I've thought a lot about it, and I've actually thought a lot about it before I was receiving these comments, but people really want to run a marathon, and people really want to check that off the list. So I'm running this Houston Marathon this weekend, and then March 1st, I'm running a half a marathon in Fort Worth with my daughter. But after that, no more races until the fall. And I'll release where that race is going to be later. But what I would like to do is, after the half marathon in March, is to create a week by week, starting from 0 to finishing a marathon series that would lay it all out. And it'd be so rewarding for me to see people actually follow this plan that really want to run a marathon and have no direction or don't know where to start, but just follow it week by week and watch them climb that platform of success into finishing a marathon. And I know earlier I mentioned times and, trying to get below this and that. And, the first marathon I ran, I didn't care about time. I didn't care about time at all. I just wanted to finish the race. And the second marathon is when I kind of started getting into, I want to beat this time. The competitive side of me was really jumping out and saying, hey, you got to beat 4.5 hours. Well, it didn't happen. So here I am driving to Houston to beat 4.5 hours because of the competitive side of me. But what I've noticed is there's a fine line there, because I like to get lost on a trail. And this whole running process for me, and this starting to run in the last year and a half, it's a time for me to get lost on a trail, put my thoughts in a different place. It gives me plenty of time to think about things, time that I'd never set aside before. And if you run, you know what I'm talking about. But I call it getting lost on a trail. And I found myself many times this year pushing for the faster time, losing the ultimate focus of what I had, of just enjoying the run. And I think it's important to not get too focused on the time and enjoy the run and enjoy the purpose of why you're doing it to begin with. And if it's just for time, then that's your deal, then do it. But time really, you know, I get a lot of people that say, what'd you run it in? What'd you run it in? And it's important, I mean, to an extent, but I wasn't really proud of my times. But it shouldn't be about the time. It should be about what you did, and if you felt like you accomplished something, then A-OK. That's what it's all about. And don't lose the focus, because it's easy to do, especially after your first one or second one, and you're getting into your third and fourth. You start really focusing on your PR, your personal record, you know. And I don't know that the competitive side of me will ever allow that to disappear, because I've told myself, Houston, I'm going to break 4.5 hours, and I hope I do. But if I don't, I hope I'm content with finishing the race. Because about 3 weeks ago, I was running, and I had a 19-mile long run, and all of a sudden, 8 miles in, pop, and I felt this tremendous pain. And this was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I felt the pain in my calf, and I had to stop running. I couldn't run anymore. And I had to, you know, I went home, and I was like, oh my gosh, did I tear a muscle? Did I strain my calf? You know, what did I do? So I took off for about a week, didn't run, ran that next weekend, felt okay. I didn't push myself very hard because I didn't want to re-injure it. But now I feel okay, besides the sickness. But there's a lot of things that can happen. There's a lot of factors that come up in a race, or, you know, weather, your body. I mean, your body may not cooperate with you, and you've done all the training you feel like you can do, but it just doesn't happen. So you've got to be content with, you know, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to give it everything I've got. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So all that to say, I was trying to break 4.5 hours. I didn't, so I'm going to Houston to break the 4.5 hours. And we'll see what happens. You know, and I said my fall race, I'm looking to break 4 hours. And then the next fall, 3.5 hours. So I've set some goals out there. And I don't want to, I know there's a lot of new runners out there. Because believe me, my first marathon, it was almost 6 hours. And I think they pick you up if you don't finish after 6 hours. So I finished. That was the goal, and I did it. So don't let me frustrate you or get you, you know, as a new runner that, oh, you got to focus on time. Just finish the race. That's all I want you to do, is finish the race. And I know you probably know that, because if it's your first marathon, you're probably not looking to break 4 hours unless you're just incredibly in shape already. But anyway, this is going to be good. This is going to be a great weekend. Driving down, getting there Friday night, going to relax, not have to worry about driving there the day before the race and rushing around to get my bib and all those type of things. So here we are, Houston bound. Let's get this thing.